Our next speaker I'd like to introduce is Naftali Mafa. We are colleagues and I have permission to call him Nafi. So Nafi is a Managing Director of African Resources Development. He was born and raised in Bolabadu in Limpopo in South Africa. He's the founder and Managing Director of African Resources Development, which is a Level 1 BBBEE mining and services company based in Limpopo province, and is in partnership with international companies across energy, rail and contract mining services. Nafi is an electrical engineer, an entrepreneur and a mining professional with 18 years industry experience, with a career spanning South Africa and Australia in various roles in mining and maintenance. Nafi, you're most welcome.
Thanks, Roger, for the introduction. Really appreciate it. I'll just like to thank Paydirt Media and the team, Bill, for 21 years of consistency in Australia, delivering conference year in, year out, weathering the storms during the lockdown and the COVID. That did not take your heart and the commitment to build the relationship between the Africans and the Australians. We see your effort, we appreciate it, and thank you for supporting us throughout. I'm just going to go straight on there, see if I can work this thing out. The big button.
See, I told you.
Yeah, so a little bit about African resource development, as was described. It is a mining and services company in Bulwer, Limpopo, South Africa. In the mining business, we have got an exploration rights in Tabazimbi. Tabazimbi is a town in Limpopo, just on the tip there, between the Limpopo, on the border of Zimbabwe, and then on the other side is Botswana. We went there a few years ago, I think about 5 now, and we've got an area that covers about 3,300 hectares of highly prospective land there. We share postcode there in that area with Aquila, Anglo-American, Goomba, and Asolomatul. We've got now a total of about 64 holes, a combination of core RC and percussion holes. We've got rail access through the property right there. The locomotive shunting facilities for coal from the Lepalala area, straight through Richards Bay, crosses our property. We went there, originally when we went there, we were looking for manganese, and we didn't find as much manganese as we thought and we wanted. We now found that through that, we have delineated, the geologists told me, through that 64 holes, we have got about 300 million tons of magnetite. So the journey continues. We are now studying that magnetite, trying to identify, we have now established that it can be pelletized. So this is the trajectory that we are heading on and traveling through with the magnetite. A lot of people don't really have a lot of experience in the magnetite, so it's the journey that we're traveling. And then in the air services, we've got an energy business. The energy business is in partnership with Paladin Hydrogen. It's a Eastern States based company, actually in Queensland. And we have got through that business, we've got a mine in Tassie, a coal mine in Tasmania, and we are a hydrogen producer. We have got a bunch of technology that we have procured, and it is a technology that we use that takes in thermal coal, and through the thermal coal, through our processes, we get hydrogen, green hydrogen out of that process. So the process itself, it's not combustible. It's a non-combustion process. It does not emit any emissions. So that's why it puts us in the category of being classed as green energy. And for most of you that had time to come to our booth in booth number 72, we've been there throughout, and some of you, we have been talking to you about how green the coal is. So we appreciate that. Roger, I got to deal with this here, please allow me. There's a disclaimer there. So what is going on here? It doesn't matter what I do. It doesn't matter where I go. People look at me like, look at him. He's not from Limpopo. He's not from Bulwer. Listen to him. You see, it's an issue. So now I'm walking around with the evidence to prove. So what you see there is actually me. You see, this is my ID, and I've got the evidence. So I'm not going to talk about it now. Just have my evidence with me. So hopefully you appreciate that. It saves me a lot of time. There's a little bit of discrepancy in the picture there. You can see there. It's just what happened. So I did discover a little bit of malva pudding and banana cake. So it doesn't quite look like me now, but it is me. Yes. So I'm here to just ask humbly that you can walk with me through about 10 minutes now or so, and you can look through with me and look at Africa through a black eye. And I'm asking that you can walk that with me, and please bear with me, I'm just looking. So what you see there is it's in Bulwer, Roger. That's where I come from. This place is on the left there is one of the houses that we have, and this place has got no electricity, so there wasn't much of Wi-Fi happening there at all. There's no movie theater. It's quite hot as well, so when you're there, you can't really decide to go for a jog. So you see me on my right there. It's nothing else to do there. So what do I do now? I just sat there and looked. So I was looking around, and then I saw there, took me back about 1948, and this is when the apartheid was introduced in South Africa. Most of you know about the apartheid. I'm not going to bore you with the details. So then Hendrik van Wood is one of the prime ministers that was the key players in the introduction, leading pushers of that policy throughout the 1940s, 50s, 60s, 70s there, 1980s. So that was introduced there, segregation in the beaches and squatter camps, and in Soweto, the houses you can see there, public facility. But one of the things that you can see there is the classroom and education. I picked that because there's a bit of explanation that needs to go with it. When you look at education, when I talk about boundary education, most people won't understand. But in a contrast, what I saw is that when a year four kid talks about literature review, they talk about how fantastic Mr. Fox is. They read and analyze the scenes. So year four, I saw in Limpopo, we were looking at a locust, and we were reciting for a whole term, talk about the three parts of a locust. It takes about that long to teach us about the locust. That's what we were reciting. So that's the disparity in the education that I'm talking about. We're learning about the head, thorax, and abdomen. That took about 6 months off, while the other kids are assessing literature review. So what happened there was that we were struggling through those times, and the world obviously did react. We had a lot of support. We had the likes of the rugby sanctions. We have the trade sanction there. Import and export bans happened. So the Africans had a lot of momentum. They had a lot of hope because there was a lot of support coming through. Nelson Mandela comes in. The hopes get raised from the young people. A hope is there. Everyone is excited. The people shall govern. It comes in. So Nelson Mandela is faced with the challenge of addressing all the challenges that we had through the apartheid. We were trying to improve the young people's lives, the black people, previously disadvantaged people. So what had happened there, they introduced the BE. BE was basically an opportunity, or a platform that can be used to introduce black businesses, create opportunities for young entrepreneurs to have their own business. Basically, to give people like me an opportunity to come and stand here and maybe have shares in the company and be a business person, sell stuff, promote stuff, and maybe be able to afford a suit one day and look like everyone else. You know what I mean? So that's what the BE was there for. So, and when that happened, of course, again, people reacted. People reacted, and we started seeing the likes of the Fraser Institute just taking South Africa straight at the bottom 10. Then challenges started coming. The JSE listing went down, declined. FDI declined. The number of exploration projects shrunk to just about nothing. And then the rise of the cost of living, that was a big challenge. And it's hard to raise capital. You go ASX, AIM, TSX, South Africa, BE, no, what do you mean? You want shares? It's not going to happen. It's hard to raise the cost. So I was looking at that, and I saw, when I was looking at that, the standard of how are we supposed to do that? So the segregation was not right, but then we got the right to vote, we got the right to go to school, we got the right not to be able to carry the ID book to identify ourselves where we go. But when we try to enter into a level of trying to get empowered, that support that we saw during the segregation kind of shifted. It shifted in such a way that it didn't look like what I saw. It didn't look like it was consistent. But that I can't say I was just looking. So when looking at that time, I was looking at the history back in Australia. And while all those things were happening, I was looking at some of the top leaders at that time in the jurisdiction, the likes of former Prime Minister Paul Keating, John Howard, Anthony Albanese, the duration that they spent in Parliament and the education and knowledge experience in management, 1975 to 96 in Parliament there before they became a Prime Minister at some stage, 77 for John Howard to 2007, 96. There, a current Prime Minister, but I was looking at Nelson Mandela then. What was happening during all those times that this was happening on the other side of the world? Exiled Nelson Mandela, Thabo Mbeki exiled, Jacob Zuma exiled, Ramaphosa also exiled. So I found that at that time, the comparison for me when I looked, it didn't look like it was a level ground, opportunities for competition. Anyway, I further looked, and South Africa experienced, like everyone else, the climate change policies came in. And the climate change policy comes in, they find South Africa with a 30% unemployment, and then the cost of living, 13-year high, 7.8 inflation, poor rating, low investment, exploration low. And then all of a sudden, I saw, when I was looking there, Germany offers 8.5 billion for a just transition. And then I started looking. We couldn't raise the funds. We couldn't get money for anything else. But we've got that for the just transition. This is now the coal. We've got to ditch the coal. And I was talking to the Council for Geoscience. They were telling me, look, we've got about 300 years worth of coal here. And we're ditching that for a just transition. I was thinking, is the just transition just here? The impact of the economy in the mining towns there, coal-dependent towns in Limpopo, Mpumalanga, Northwest, everywhere. Where's the base load of all these options? The solar. I was looking. Where are the solars coming from? Who is manufacturing the solars? Unemployment we had, still continue to have. Infrastructure falling apart, we can't repair it, got no money. We can't raise the money in anything else. The availability of money there, I was looking, couldn't identify where it came from. Didn't know why the money was good for that, but not for that. Didn't understand, I looked. But when I was looking at it, and I thought to myself, what impact does this just transition have on coal mining towns? Is coal really a problem, or the emissions are? If the emissions are, how come we're not addressing the emissions, but we're dealing with the coal? How come we don't have investment to research how to deal with the emissions? I know, and you can tell, we've got issues with challenges about obesity. I was looking, and I thought, we don't can the fast food. We don't shut the fast food. We encourage people to exercise. We deal with the problem. We don't can everything else. That's what I did. I just looked. And I'm asking that you can humbly look at with me through the black eye. And then you can tell me, if we let go of the coal, how will South Africa look like? How will Africa look like? Is it necessary? Is it a solution? We are in South Africa, we are working and developing projects. We are investing in the technology that deals with the emissions. We are going to drive the message ahead that the coal is too much of it. It's not just, is it? When I was looking, I found that regardless of what we tried to achieve, we got challenges. And we are the people. That song that you hear, this song was sung by the people before us. They were assuring their youngs that things will change. But today we're singing the same song. We sing it very differently. We are the change that we sang. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. We will continue with the journey.